8 minutes past. Okay. We should be going live any moment now. Greetings, greetings, family. Welcome, welcome to the Sister Shanice Show. We are live and direct on YouTube. As you can see, we've got our very own Dr. Clyde Winters in the house. Rise up, Dr. Clyde. How you doing?
Fine, and how are you doing? I'm doing just fine.
I love your funny faces. I am doing well,
thank you. Thank you. No, it's always good. It's always good.
It's so hot out here.
Laughter is contagious.
Thank you. And it's always
if you make people laugh.
To have you too.
Yeah.
You're brilliant for putting a smile on our face. My internet is going really slow, and sincere apologies. As you can see, I'm probably sticking. Is that right? Is the internet kind of sticking?
So.
Dr. Clyde?
A little bit.
So. Yeah. It looks like it's sticking this end, and it's already started spinning, but I get strong. Yeah, and as I said, if I drop out, please do, come live. Well, just take the show away, because I know there's so much that you can share with our audience. And let me change the settings so I can see both of us on screen. Because at the moment, I just seem to be seeing the speaker, and I want to make sure that I can have both of us on screen at the same time. Right, let's see if we're actually live on YouTube. Family, if you're in the chat, please do. Let us know that you're in the house. And a politician. It is what it's like on the continent at the moment. Dr. Clyde, we've been reading about your president putting pressure on small African countries like the Gambia to do business with like Elon Musk. I mean, we know we've got crappy internet, but can we really afford to have someone like Elon Musk managing Africa's data and internet, which comes with all of the security and everything? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, my thoughts is that they're both racist. Because they're both racist. They're both racist. And there's nothing wrong with that, because there's nothing wrong with being right. But at the same time, Elon Musk, he's from South Africa. We cannot forget how South Africans treated, the Black population in South Africa. As a result, we have to assume that whatever he's going to do is not going to be good for Africa's future. It's not going to be good for African people, because the fact, in a sense, is that they don't like African people. And because they don't like us, we have to be aware of the fact is that they're going to try to do whatever they can to sabotage any type of progress in Africa, because see, Africa has too much wealth. And yes, it has too much wealth, but the only problem is that it's time for the African to get involved, and it's time for the African, in a sense, to be forceful in making sure that the world understands that it goes back to what Nkrumah said: it's African for the Africans. They have to begin, in a sense, to want to sincerely try to make sure that they're helping that they're producing, progress for their people, and most importantly, that they're sharing the wealth in their countries, the wealth that comes from their mineral resources, that they're sharing it with the people. Because see, Africa is a young continent. There are so many young people in Africa, and that they deserve a future. But this future can only be made possible if the older generation will kind of concentrate on sharing some of that with the younger generation. But as you know, many African leaders, in their bedroom, they're married to white women. And I mean, how can you be married to a white woman and expect that woman, in a sense, to give you advice that's going to help your people. She's going to give you advice to help her people. She's going to give you advice that you're going to be sending your resources to her people and allowing her people to dominate other African people. So it's a very sticky wicket. It's a very sticky situation out there, and hopefully our people will get it together and they'll overcome this obstacle like we've overcome so many in the past.
Yes. Dr. Clyde, I was able to hear what you were saying in and out. My internet is so bad. I don't even know if we're going to be able to.
Well, why don't you just start telling us about your new
the
book?
show today.
Just start talking. Tell us about your new book, Hidden in the Shadows.
But are you able to hear me?
Yes, yes.
Oh, you are able to hear me.
Yeah.
I actually had a presentation that I wanted to do.
Let's go ahead and get started.
I'm wondering if I should. I'm thinking maybe log off, get the internet provider, restart and reboot my computer, and then we try again in like 20 minutes, half hour or so. What do you think? What do you think of the audience? Let's see if we've got it.
What are they saying in the chat? Should I stay here until you come back?
Yeah, so well, what I would need to completely log off. Let me just go in the chat and find out how it is for the family to see if maybe we should log off, reboot, and come back in 20 minutes, 30 minutes or so. Okay. Rise up, Brother Kwame Aboje. Good to have you in the house. Hotep, Hotep. Rise up, Sister Betty. Good to have you in the house. Tell us what you think. I mean, the internet, my end, as always, is just awful. How are we coming through? Should I log off and retry and reboot and start again? It will take about 15, 20 minutes.
You're coming in clear to me.
Okay.
There's no problem.
Okay, that's great. Let's find out how we're coming through to the audience. Audience, how am I coming through? How are we coming through? Is it choppy or is it flowy? Please let us know. Sister Betty says, continue, Sister Shanice. Scarab City says, we can hear you. Okay, and Carrie can hear. So you can hear. So I'm just freezing and spinning my end, maybe. Okay. Well, we'll try and push along then. Thank you so much for your feedback. To those of you in the audience, we love you. We love you. Sister Dee, good to have you in the house. As she says, restart your router. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of doing. I ring up the internet company and then I restart my router, but it does take a little while to do that. He's saying, Kwame's saying, come on, Africans, we should be responsible for our land and not allow these demons in our affairs. Well, you know I agree with that. Keep the demons out, I say. Kate so far, rise up, saying you're coming through. Fine, Sister Shanice. I'm in a DA house on sunny Wednesday. Glad to have you in the house. Okay, Dr. Clive, we've had some feedback from some of our wonderful followers in the audience, and like you're hearing me okay, they seem to be hearing me okay. So let's press on. So Dr. Clyde, please introduce yourself to the audience, because there may well be some new viewers who've never met you before. Tell them all a little bit about you.
Okay, I'm a Clyde Winters. I've been working on studying the history of Black people around the world for the past 50 years. And I'm very excited about the fact is that Sister Shanice is a very wonderful, very very super scholar. Yes, yes, she's a scholar. I know often in a sense you like to believe in a sense is that when someone is on the on YouTube, that they have to be someone in a sense who's a pretender. No, this is an authentic researcher. She's written several other books, and her books are so significant. And she's having such a great impact on our children around the world. Our children are learning about their existence. And what I love most about the research and the writing of Sister Shanice is that she's talking about Blacks in Britain. We don't hear too much about Blacks in Britain. You know, today you hear a lot about, you know, what Afro Americans are doing, what foundational Black Americans are doing, and some of it is silly. But again, in a sense, is that we don't hear about what British Black people are doing, because see, British Black people, they carry, in a sense, not only a native ancestry to Britain, but they also have a connection with Africa and the Caribbean. And so, because of this connection between Africa, the Caribbean, and Britain, we need the research that Sister Shanice is doing, because yes, this history has been hidden in the shadows, and the reason it's been hidden is because they don't want you to know how much of their history is really, in a sense, a result of what African people have contributed to that history. And Sister Shanice is going to tell you more about that now.
Thank you so much, Dr. Clyde. You know, I've got a special poem in my presentation, and I mention you in my poem. And I hope you'll really like the mention as well. You are such an inspiration. You really are. And family, if you haven't done one of Dr. Clyde Winters' courses before, I can highly recommend it, because, you know, he's the one that set me on this journey. I had it in me, but, you know, he was able to draw it out of me and inspire me to do the research that I've been doing. And I'm so excited to share with you, you know, my new book, Hidden in the Shadows. Oh, you're going to love it. Oh, I hope you're all going to love it. I'm going to try and do a little presentation, which I hope I'll be able to get through, internet permitted. And we'll have a bit of a discussion afterwards, yeah, because we've got so much history as a people. And you know, I've got some new messages coming through. Oh, they're rising you up, Dr. Clyde. They're rising you up. Kasafar says the audio is fine, and Brother Kwame is rising you up. Thank you, Brother Kwame, as well. Oh, the Sheriffess is in the house as well. Dr. Winters says, Ashe, Baba Winters is also an inspiration. Yes, you are. Sheriffess says, greetings, Sister Shanice, Brother Winters, and Brother Kwame Aboje. Big up yourself as well, beloved sis. Glad to have you in the house. Yeah. So, as I was saying, our beloved Dr. Winters is a real inspiration, and he's inspired so many of us, you know, to be the best that we can be. And more love, more. And may you have long life. And my audio was crackling, so I don't know if you actually told the viewers about the number of books that you have written, the fact that you're an author, a researcher, and so much more.
Thank you. I've written about.
Have you mentioned any of your books?
No, I haven't mentioned any today, but you might want to get my books, Black in Europe, Contemporary History. In this book, Blacks in Europe, I discuss a great amount. I'm going to do a book just on Blacks in Britain soon, and I'm working on that now. But again, I'm still trying to debate what I'm going to do, because see, Sister Shanice and Ramasu and some of the other people in it's not a clique, it's not a secret clique, but it's a group of people that have been working together. They've taken our class on Blacks in Britain, and we've been communicating. We try to communicate. We try to share what we're doing. And what Shanice has done is that she's taken some of our discussions, some of the things we've discussed in class, and she's put it in this book, Hidden in the Shadows. And that's what makes this book such a welcome addition to this aspect of history. Because see, back in the day, a lot of Europeans, they were writing about British history. They talked about, in a sense, the various ancient Britons. But you know, and they even mentioned the fact that these ancient Britons were blacks, you see. But these researchers, they never really ever thought that black people would become, in a sense, free, because black people were enslaved. Because black people were enslaved, we didn't have any access to writing books, publishing books. We didn't have any access, in a sense, to really dealing with the literature relating to the history of Britain. And so they wrote these books talking about all these black ancestors, all these black people who really, in a sense, founded British civilization. But when they wrote these books, they never imagined that one day we would have a Sister Shanice. They never imagined that one day we would have, in a sense, a black woman who would take their research and flip the script. Yes, she flipped the script, and it's not in the sense that she's telling a false story. What it is that she's telling the actual history of Britain, the actual history of the founders of civilization in Britain. That's what makes this book so important. You got to buy this book, and In the Shadows.
Okay, let's hope that after they've watched this presentation, everyone who watches it will want to get a copy of the book so that they can immerse themselves in the history that, you know, we just haven't been taught, the history that's been hidden from us. Okay, I'm going to try and share the screen now and set this up so that we can have a bit of a presentation going on here. And everything's going a bit slow, but we will get there. Okay, which one is it? Yeah, okay, let's just optimize the sound, because I do have a little bit of a video in there that I want to share with you as well. Oops, no, stop share. I need to do something else, which I haven't done. Sorry about that. Oh dear. And the thing is, because it's all going so slow, I didn't do, there's one more thing I have to do. Let me just get rid of that and do the process again. Sorry about this, but I've got to make sure that you can see the right part of the screen. And you're not seeing any of the screen there just now, so apologies. Okay, let's go through the process again. And it is a bit slow, so sorry. Right. So we're going to be reclaiming our past. We're going to be talking about the history of us as Africans in Britain. And for those of us who were actually born in Britain, and it's just spinning in the background, for those of us who were actually born in Britain, you're probably going to be very surprised. If you don't know much about Black British history prior to the Windrush, you're going to be really surprised, you know, to learn a lot about what, because most of us who were born in Britain went to school in Britain and were taught British history, and even until this day have been told a history which you know, doesn't go beyond us being in the UK prior to about, say, you know, the Windrush generation. And the Windrush was like the late 50s, wasn't it? Well, you know, my research has uncovered that we've been around in the UK from at least, well, from the Stone Age era. We are the original people of Britain. Oh, can you believe that? Wait until you find, I'll share with you some of the findings. Okay, so what we're going to be doing in this book, if you join me by getting a copy, is we're actually going to be reclaiming our past. We're going to be restoring the truth and reviving African greatness in Britain. And as I said, you know, for some, you know, you're going to be amazed at how much history we actually have in Britain. Yes. Wow, wow, wow. So for those of you who, you know, may not know who I am, just very quickly introduce myself to you. If I go to the next slide. Okay, so I go by the name of Sister Shanice, but My author name is Shanice Lindsay. I'm a mother, very proud to be a mother. And I'll be talking more about that tomorrow, actually, I think. But I'm also an author, researcher, radio presenter, journalist, speaker with a deep-rooted passion for African history. I've always had a passion for African history and African affairs. And that's where my interest actually lies. So when I did Dr. Clyde Winters's Afrocentric research course, it was right up my street. And, you know, my mission in life is to try and inspire others. You know, I want to be an inspiration to others. I want to empower individuals. And I'm a believer in who we are as a people. We have a rich and glorious past. And, you know, even though the mainstream tries to undermine us and give us the impression that we're all less than, always have been less than, never have achieved anything in this world or on this planet, I kind of always knew from a very young age that that wasn't the case. You know, I've always been one to want to challenge, one who's wanted to investigate. I've always like been on a mission to try and uncover and discover who we are. And that's why history for me was always so important. But the history that the mainstream was teaching me, their narrative, you know, was just the stories that they were telling me about who I was just so awful and off-putting. It put me off history for years. But in my later years, family, when I started doing all of my reading and my independent research, I began to realize how powerful we are as a people. And, you know, hence why now I'm on this journey to writing about our history, because I've been coming across some ancient books, and had those authors not written that history, then I would not have come across, you know, the knowledge and information that I have today. And that's why writing about our history, and yesterday was history, and there's a book in every one of us. It's so important that we write our stories, because in 200 years time, 300 years time, you don't know who could be picking up your book and reading your story. Because I can guarantee, if the Caucasians are still in power, God forbid, they will be burning as many of our books as they can. And it might be just your book that manages to survive, to inform our future of who they are and the great ones that went before them. So we've got a job to do, and I feel passionately about that. So I've written this book that's coming soon. It's called Hidden in the Shadows of Ancient Britain, an erased African history restored. It's coming soon, family. You'll be able to get it via Amazon, or if you're in the UK, you can email me at shanicebooks55@gmail.com. That's shanicebooks55@gmail.com, and I will post you a signed copy of the book. Okay, if you're outside the UK, please do get it via Amazon. The paperback format's going to be available on Amazon from the 15th of June. On Kindle, it's available for pre-order from now, but it will only be on Kindle for a limited amount of time, because I really want to push the paperback. I want all of us to have a copy of this book in our homes, not just for our generation, but for the next generation as well. So it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. As you can see, there's a beautiful queen in that image there. That's our Queen Scotia, Princess Scotia, who becomes Queen Scotia. She is also in the book, and I do a special feature on her, but I'll tell you more about that in a little while. So this book is a groundbreaking book. It's going to be rewriting British history. Yes, family, little old me is rewriting British history. I'm exposing the origins of British culture and its hidden, dark-complexioned African us, founding fathers. Okay, the book is coming soon. As I said, it was going to be out in July, but you know, I mentioned that it's coming, and people are saying, you know, we want it now, we want it now. So I've pulled back the release date from July to June So please do make sure that you get a copy as well. All righty. It's knowledge is power. Yeah. And once we got power, that power comes from our enlightenment. And I'm writing this book, and others like me are writing to enlighten us so that we can become empowered. Look at what's happening across Africa today. Our young African brothers and sisters have been enlightened by the Pan-African narrative, by the history books that they're now getting access to, by the knowledge of the wealth of their country. And because of that enlightenment, they are now empowered and emboldened to do what needs to be done. And so they're raising their voices and they're talking now about what they want, and they're making demands, and they're not backing down. And so knowledge and enlightenment really is power, and we've got to seize that power. Okay, so I said the book's coming soon, Hidden in the Shadows of Ancient Britain, an Erased African History Restored, by myself. Let me give you a flavor of the table of contents and what's in the book. So you've got the preliminaries, as you would expect to have in a book, you know, the dedication. There's a little poem in there that I've put, Hidden in the Shadows, my acknowledgements. You've got the prelude. I talk about why history is important. I write a bit about what the book is about, and then you've got your introduction to the book. And after those preliminaries, then we've got the chapters. And the first chapter is entitled Footsteps Through Time, tracing the great human migrations from Africa to the world. So this book basically comes from the presentations to a large extent that I was doing on our training course. And because of the response that I got from those presentations, basically I just delved deeper and put it all in a book form, because you know, there's so much for us to learn, and we learn in different ways. Some of us learn through videos, some through books, some through workbooks, some through training courses. And so, you know, let's get the information to our brothers and sisters in as many formats as we can. So in this first chapter, what I do is I give recognition to the solid African history that can be archaeologically and genetically traced back to antiquity. When I did Dr. Clyde's course, I was reminded of the importance of underpinning all of my claims with either archaeological evidence, documented evidence, genetic evidence, linguistic evidence, legal evidence, and the more of those different kind of disciplines that I use to underpin what I claim, you know, the more solid the foundation is that I stand on. And so, you know, I start off the book immediately by going into the archaeological and genetic evidence that traces us back to antiquity and places us in Britain. And this is long before the rise of modern civilization. We were the ones who laid the foundations for humanity and ingenuity and culture in Britain. And our history in Britain goes back to the Stone Age era. I'm going to say more a little bit about the Stone Age era as well. And so this era was a time when we as Africans not only thrived globally, but we built civilizations, we built cities, we built empires that stretched from Africa across Asia and Europe. And you're all probably, some of you thinking, what? The Stone Age era? We were building cities during the Stone Age era. Yes, we were, because our Stone Age era wasn't the primitive image of Stone Age that the Caucasian narrative kind of portrays. Our Stone Age era, family, I am arguing, is the time when we were building and using stone to build our cities and our kingdoms and our temples and our stone circles and our monuments, you know, there's many of which, and our stone walls, some of which have actually stood the test of time until now, thousands of years later, you know, they try to put the date on some of our stone structures at around 5,000, 6,000 years ago, because that's when they say they came on the scene. But many of these stone buildings, family, actually go back tens of thousands of years. They're much older than they're admitting. The mainstream are admitting them to be. And so these stone monuments actually stand as a testament to the advancement of our knowledge, of our craftsmanship, of our science, and of our technology, and of our achievements during the Stone Age era. The masons that we had, the designers, the architects that we had, the scientists, the mathematicians that we had back in those days. So I talk about those ancestors of ours from the Stone Age era in chapter 1 of our book. And then chapter 2 is entitled Africa's Imprint on the World in Ancient Times. And then I go some more into talking about, the waves of migrations of us as Africans to Britain that happened over thousands of years. At least we can trace our history in Britain back to about 44,000 years ago. So we didn't just come here during the post-war era, as has been suggested. We've been here from the beginning of prehistoric times, from the Stone Age era. And we brought with us our sciences and our knowledge of astronomy, our seafaring skills, our culture. We brought all of that with us. And there is still evidence of that can be found across Britain if you know where to look. And I point it out in my book where I make all these claims. The archaeological evidence combined with the genetic data all underpins my research in this book. And even though sometimes they try and make their findings a little disjointed, once you know what to look for and you put it together, you can see the imprint of us as Africans from ancient times until now. Chapter 3 goes into the historical exploration of ancient African identities in Britain. And why is that important? Now, one of the greatest challenges that I found, and that many researchers find when you're researching African history, is that what the mainstream and the academics have very cleverly done is they have given us many names. So just like today, we're known by many names as Africans, we were known as many names back then. And if you don't know the names that we are known by and were known by back then you could be reading about us in history and not even know that we are the ones that are being discussed. And so as I was going through all these different books and doing my research, and I realized that they were talking about us because I had the knowledge of the stories from before, and I was seeing the similar stories in different books, okay, and I recognized that we were the subject that was being discussed, but just by different names. I started pulling together for my own notes the names that we were known by in ancient time. And, it could be suggested that we are referred to by all these different names, by all these different academics and historians and their scientists and the like, to even maybe suggest or to hide the fact that they're actually talking about us as Africans. And that's happening either deliberately or unintentionally. But the fact is that quite often, we're referred to by all these different names, Phoenicians, the Etruscans, and many different names. And you wouldn't know that they're talking about us unless you're familiar with the history. So I pulled together and compiled quite a list. It's not an exhaustive list because, there's many more names, but in there you'll find quite a list of us as Africans that we have been known by and that we are referred to in their books during ancient times. Okay, now we go to chapter 4, and in chapter 4, I talk about when the Africans sailed the world, when Africa's ancient maritime traditions was such that as humans, we were exploring the world. We were taking our technologies and our advancements and our civilizations with us to various parts of the world. Now, not only did we migrate on foot, obviously, but one of the major ways that we got around as a people was via the seas. We had exceptional navigational skills. We understood the marine, the weather conditions, the waves, the winds. We were one with nature. So we knew when it was time to migrate. And, we had the sea was our highway. Yeah, it was our highway around the world. And, I even came across a boat that was dated about, I think it was 8,000 years old, that they found in West Africa. So you'll read about that one in the book as well. So the seas was our highway, and it took us all around the world. And there's a growing amount of historical and archaeological evidence that is painting a very clear picture of how the African societies actually flourished using the seas for trade, for transport, huge. So there's a whole huge amount of history that goes back to ancient times around our seafaring and maritime skills that needs to be told and needs to be pulled out as well. So we were master sailors. There are particular groups of Africans who were exceptional sailors as well, who used to sail around the world. And I'm talking about even before Egyptian times, because we know that they found, the hieroglyphics of the boats of the Egyptian tombs. Some of this history actually goes way back before that, before the pyramids of Giza, before Greece, before Rome. Our people were sailing the seas, yeah? And Africans were trading across the seas as well. And so there's this particular really ancient boat that they dug up. And I think it was either 5,000 or 8,000 years old. But get the book to find out and read about that particular boat that was discovered. And in chapter 5, I'll talk about the African builders of the great ancient stone monuments. Now, the reason why I expand on this here and build on it in terms of what I was saying previously to do with the Stone Age era is because, as I was saying, the Caucasians' interpretation of the Stone Age era is that it was a primitive time. But as I'm saying in this book, it wasn't a primitive time for us as Africans. It was a time of our great African civilizations. It was an era and a period of extraordinary advancement. I mean, you got the Olmec heads there. I mean, how much knowledge do you need to have of mining, of stonework, of design work and artisan, and to build something like that out of solid stone, the engineering, the science that had to go into that. And then, talk about our histories looking at us and staring us in the face, and sometimes us not even recognizing it as our own history. Look at the features of that stone monument in Cambodia. Our ancestors carved their images into stone from Cambodia to Africa to Mexico, South America to Asia. This is a Buddha, a black Buddha, thousands of years old, about 3,000 years old, found in Asia. And so our ancestors were building in stone during our Stone Age era. And there was a huge civilization that went with it as well. And as you can see, spirituality and faith and had a huge part to play in our communities, our civilized societies during ancient times, because, these stone monuments were worshipped as gods. We built temples, into stone mountains. We built ceremonial circles that were in alignment with the cosmos, stone temples, stone pyramids, stone carvings of the facial features of our kings, our gods. Our Stone Age era was anything but primitive. And I glorify our magnificence in chapter 5 of this book when I talk about some of the great ancient stone monuments. Let's give you a few more chapters in the book. So that's chapter 5. And chapter 6, I'll talk about the African builders of Stonehenge. Yes, you heard me right. The African builders of Stonehenge. Stonehenge was nothing compared to the stoneworks and stone buildings that we were doing all around the world, from Africa to Asia and all across Europe. Chapter 7 talks about the sun worshippers and how our ancestors worshipped the sun and what that was all about, and the symbolism that went with that as well. And that goes back to ancient times as well. Chapter 8 talks about the African Phoenicians and their legacy in mining, blue art, blue glass, trade, and their influence in ancient Britain and beyond as well. So you've got that in chapter 8. Chapter 9, you've got the African, Egyptian, Phoenician, and Ethiopians and their legacy in ancient Britain and Ireland. Again, because it's often overlooked. Yeah, and chapter 10, I talk about King Olafodla. Oh my gosh, this king, who was the king of Ireland 5,000 years ago. It's a 5,000-year-old African king. And he was a descendant of a group of Africans who was known as the Tuatha De Danann. Yeah, and their people, we've got the names of the king, the name of some of his descendants, captured in poems, captured in books. And I read about him and his descendants in a book that was written in 1416. 1416, yeah? And his tomb is in Ireland to this day. And his tomb gives us like an insight into the past. And his tomb was built not too dissimilar in terms of how the pyramids of Egypt were actually built. This 5,000-year-old structure, yeah, synchronizes with the solstices. And just like, the tombs in Egypt, how they light up when, there's the eclipse or the solstice, there's a particular time of year when the tombs light up and shine inside. This happens at the King Olafodla's tomb in Ireland. This is evidence of a connection between Egypt and Ireland in ancient times. Yeah, all of this, his reign predates, even Queen Scotia, who I talk about in my book as well. Archaeological evidence right there for us. So I'll talk about him in chapter 10 of the book. So please do get to know him. Yeah. Then 11, I talk about the similarities and the parallels between ancient Egypt and early British culture. Chapter 12, I talk about the legacy of Queen Scotia. Now, many of us know that Scotland was named after an Egyptian princess who became the queen, known as Queen Scotia. But very few of us actually know the details of her story. Well, family, after dealing with the factual side of the story of Queen Scotia, I was so fascinated by her story that I've actually, I created a kind of dramatized version from a woman's perspective of the life of Queen Scotia. And I'd love you to read that story. It's a standalone piece on its own, really. And I'm hoping that at some point, a Black filmmaker will come along and turn it into a film. And so, this is making us more aware of her story. There were actually two Scotias. Yeah, there were two Scotias, and there's a bit of confusion sometimes when you're reading between the two Scotias. But I actually did the sifting, I actually did, the digging, and I've managed to separate the two figures out, and I've homed in on the second Scotia, and her story is absolutely amazing, family. It really is, and I hope that you'll be blown away by her story as I was. And let me just let's go on to the Queen Scotia story. And is this the one that I did the clip in? No, the clip's not in that one. The clip is in this one. Here we go. So check out a little something that I did.
I'm Queen Scotia. My descendants shaped early Irish and Scottish history. I have been written out of the history books, but now you can read my story. Thanks, Sister Shanice, for resurrecting me and my family and for writing us back into history. Get the book and learn of my amazing journey and conquest of early Ireland. The book is entitled Hidden in the Shadows of Ancient Britain, an Erased African History Restored. Read and share my story.
I may actually do a little cartoon film about Queen Scotia as well. I fell in love with her story. We all did on the course that we did. I think what really piqued my interest for me in Queen Scotia as well, I want to rise up Brother Patrick. I think he brought on the course a stone monument, and on that monument that's in Scotland, it has the image of a queen on a horseback, and this queen was wearing an Egyptian style hairpiece or headpiece, and it's like, hang on, there's more to the story of this. Could this be Queen Scotia? Oh, rise up, Brother Patrick, and Sister Elaine, and to everybody on the program. So I've got a little poem here as well. And as I said, I want this work to be an awakening and a monument. And take a listen to this little poetic piece. It's called Awakening the Shadows, a Call to Remember. And it will give you a bit of an insight into why I spent so many years actually doing the research into our history, and in particular into the British history, and then why I went on to write the book. So here we go. Awakening the Shadows, a Call to Remember. We were torn from the womb of our British homeland, bound in chains and carried to the plantations of the New World. In that brutal voyage, they not only stole our bodies, they stole our land, our heritage, our identity, our names, and the knowledge of history, our sacred connection to time. They burned our scrolls, our books, and silenced our tongues, buried our past beneath the ashes of empires. They told us we were nothing, taught us to forget, never to remember we were founders of civilizations, kings and queens. And for over 400 years, we've slept beneath their lies, our memory dimmed, our spirit drugged by a heavy dose of amnesia. But I awoke. Dr. Clyde Winters lit the spark that stirred my soul. His teachings challenged me to seek, to uncover, to remember. I followed the echoes of my ancestors through misted streets and forgotten ruins, through whispers in the soil of ancient lands. I rewound the centuries, walked the corridors of time, and found the voices that had been silenced and forgotten over time. And they spoke. They called me, not with sorrow, but with fire. Tell them, they said. Tell our children who they are. Remind them they were never lost, only hidden for a time. So I wrote, Hidden in the Shadows. It's not just a book, it's a resurrection. It is a key to unlock what they tried to destroy. It is the breath of the ancient Black kings, queens, and nobles who once ruled Britain and the British Isles, the blueprint of our stolen legacy and the bridge that brings us back to our land, to recover our memory, to meaning and purpose. This book is for every soul that has been wandering, every mind that has been questioning, every spirit that seeks to rise. Read it and remember who you are. Hidden in the shadows of ancient Britain, an erased African history restored, by Shanice Lindsay. So I hope you like that little piece there that we quickly run through. So you get a few more chapters in the book, chapter 13, where I explore the Gaelic surnames and their African roots. Chapter 14, the rise and fall of the royal dynasties and the shifting power struggles of ancient Ireland. Chapter 15, the dark-skinned blacks and tawny legacy of the Scottish Highlanders. And 16, the African Moors of Britain. These are the ancient African Moors, the origins, the founders go way back. And 17, we've got the legacy of King Cathairi More of Ireland. Oh my days, this king. When you read what he left behind in his will, family, it just makes you realize our former greatness. Now, this king that I talk about in chapter 17 that I found out about when I was doing my research was an African king that reigned in Ireland in the year 144 AD. So he was a second century king. And what he left in his will as an inheritance was so rich that it paints such a powerful picture of a king who was wealthy, who had great taste, who was highly cultured. Wow, he was strategic, he was intelligent. And it shows that even in the second century in Ireland as Africans, you know, we had our legal traditions like leaving a will. And, you know, when you read about what he left you in his, what he left us, you know, because we're reading about it today, what he left us, the knowledge that he had in his will, you know, it makes you then realize, hang on a minute, if he left all of these wealthy goods in his will, that means there must have been these highly sophisticated industries at the time and these highly skilled people who could make all of these items. And it must have been a society that was organized and structured in order for, you know, all of these industries to actually flourish. And so just from his will, we get such an insight into second century Ireland when African kings were ruling at that time. And as I said, the book Hidden in the Shadows, you can get it on Kindle for a limited time. You can pre-order it now on Kindle for a limited time. The paperback is going to come out quite soon as well. You'll be able to pre-order it probably within a week or so. You'll be able to pre-order the paperback. The paperback will be $25.99. And if you want to get a signed copy and you're in the UK, you can email me, Shanice Books 55@gmail.com. Okay, I was going to make the release date the 15th of July, but I've pulled it forward now. The immediate response was, why should we wait? What you know? So well, I've pulled the date forward, went to June, 25th of June, that you'll be able to get your copies, but you can pre-order you'll be able to pre-order quite soon. And so when you finish reading this book, family, it will leave you in no doubt whatsoever that Britain has two histories. The true history of the original people of Britain and their stories, yeah, the true history that has been erased and replaced with a whitewashed version of history. The image there that you're looking at is my beautiful interpretation of a group of Africans known as the Picts. And this is how they were described. But you hardly hear anything about the Picts, but they were a powerful group of Africans, formidable group of Africans who lived in Britain during ancient times, and their stories are absolutely amazing, but you'll have to find those ancient books to be able to read about them. And I talk about them in this book as well, Hidden in the Shadows. So I certainly hope that I've whet your appetite and that you'll want to get a copy of the book. Let me know if I need to do more work, or if I've been able to, excite you a little bit about that book that's coming. And I know the mainstream media, those who are the keepers of the whitewashed version of history, are just going to come down on it like a ton of bricks. My last book, King Arthur, that was like one chapter of this book, King Arthur. And they came down on it, fam. Even till today, they're still coming down on it, And since then, they're coming down on one black king. And I found out that there were hundreds of black kings. And I'm not exaggerating. There were hundreds of black kings. Why were there hundreds? Because England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales was divided up into kingdoms in ancient times. And each kingdom had a king and a royal family. There were literally, over the centuries, hundreds of African kings, and their stories have been buried for centuries. Well, I'm resurrecting their stories, resurrecting their names. There's so much more work that needs to be done because the history is vast. It's vast. I hadn't even reached to contemporary times with this history, family. It's mainly dealing with the ancient times up to the turn of the century or so. And if I get to do a next book, it will be from the turn of the century, probably up to the Roman era or so, because throughout those early centuries, again, there is so much of our history that has been whitewashed that we need to reclaim. And so the book, as I said, is an awakening, and it is a call to us to remember and also to realize that we as a people were actually torn, many of us, from our homeland, from Britain, bound in chains and carried to the plantations of the New World. And that is another huge part of our history that has been whitewashed. But I'm not going into that in this book. That will be a subject for maybe the next book. So let me leave it there for now. Let's go back to the house. Hopefully I haven't put our doctor to sleep and he's still there. Come back, please, Dr. Clyde.
This has been great. I mean, wow. Wow. I'm going to do one of yours. Wow, wow, wow. Wow.
That's one of mine, isn't it? Yeah.
This is great. I can't wait until the book comes out. I'm on. I like to have a book that I can kind of thumb through. So I'm not going to get the copy that's online. When it comes out in paperback, I got mine. I'm pre-ordering it, everything, because see, family. This is a book that we need. Everybody needs to have a copy of this book. Just like I've always talked about the fact that you should have a copy of my book on Blacks in ancient America. You got to get this book, Hidden in the Shadows, because this book tells you the history of Blacks in Britain, and it's a history in a sense that's no longer hidden because of Shanice. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. You wanted to know what the book was about. I said, you're going to have to wait, Dr. Clyde. And now, hopefully that presentation has given you, a good insight into what the book is about. Did you like that poem?
I love the poem. You're very poetic, but thank you for giving me some credit, but the credit is all yours, because see, you've done the work. You've done the work, and it doesn't matter who inspires you. What is most important is when you can get the work done and you're putting it out there for your people, for their love and the love of the race. Family, very few people can love Black people. But when you can love your own people, then it's a beautiful thing. And this is what we find hidden in the shadows. Hidden in the shadows from just Shanice talking about it. It makes you want to grab the book and just hug it. Hug it and hold it close. So maybe it could just just run through me, because we need this knowledge. And knowledge is power. But knowledge also gives you a grounding. Knowledge gives you a grounding when you know where you came from. It tells you not only where you came from, but it also tells you what you can do. It tells you your abilities, hidden abilities. And this is only just one story. It has to be more dynamic. I'm beginning to believe, family. I don't have the evidence, but I'm beginning to believe that 10,000 years ago, we were driving cars. We were riding in rockets. I believe all this stuff because, see, they found all these roads. They found roads, but they haven't found horses. If you found roads that go for miles and miles, what were we doing on those roads? They had to have been, in a sense, some type of physical machine. And the thing is, this is that one day, family, I may not be here, but Sister Janice and some of you other young people, you guys will be able, in a sense, to really even more so elaborate on our great history, a history that's hidden. And I'm telling you this, family. I'm telling you this, family. There's archaeologists and some that know our true history, and they're hiding it from us. But one day they're going to tell, because see, they can't help but brag, and they want to be the first. So sooner or later they're going to give us even more evidence, and hopefully, Shanice, you can be here to grab that evidence and give it to the people. Give it to the people.
Because I know what they tend to do as well, isn't it, Dr. Clyde? When they see us and they hear us coming out with the truth and the evidence, then they want to jump on it as if they're the authority. They've got all the information. It's all hidden in the basements of their museums, because every time they raid one of our tombs of our great kings and our ancestors, they know the riches that they find in there. They know how ancient, these relics and these pieces are, and how incredible they are. And it's for their eyes only, and for the eyes of a certain class of people. And they hide it from us. But with the little few bits of evidence that they leave behind, we manage to get hold of it. And then our ancestors speak to us and bring it to life. And we have so little, but we are able, to remember from our DNA, and then write about it. Family, if you've got any comments, please put your comments in the chat. I'm going to get around to the comments in a very short while. Any questions? What did you think about the bit of an insight that I gave you about the book? So, Dr. Clyde, yeah, we're going to be fine. They're going to be coming out, and they're going to be talking like they're the authority on what we have been researching and uncovering. What do you say about that?
The reason so bad is that for so long they made it seem as though the original Britons, the original Irish, were very primitive. They were very primitive. That they didn't wear clothes, they didn't wear rich garments, they didn't have gold, silver, they didn't have chariots. And who knows what else? But we know now that those movies that they made in the 70s and 80s about Britain, they're all wrong. They're all wrong. That was some white people living in the Caucasus Mountains. That wasn't the history of the real the real British, the real ancient Irish. Because see, what I find interesting, I know I brought this up many times, it's funny how in a sense, you know, black people, they skipped the European mainland and left Africa and went straight to Britain. I don't understand. Maybe the currents in North Africa, you know, drive you straight to Britain. But it's just so amazing that so much history of black people is in Britain as opposed to mainland Europe, like France.
Oh, there's history there too. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. I mean, I focus on Britain, obviously, because, you know, I was born in Britain. But there's history all the way through the so-called Middle East, all around the Mediterranean islands, all our history, all around there, that was built, huge cities that was built by the ancient African Etruscans and Phoenicians, all around those Mediterranean islands, coming all the way into Spain, all across France, Brittany, right into Britain and beyond. We populated the entire globe. I think someone said that in the chat there as well. Who was it that mentioned in the chat that as Africans, you know, we populated the entire globe? And that is absolutely right. Yes, we certainly did. And they've come together as Europeans, and they've colluded together to whitewash our history and to hide our history from us. And worse than that, they claimed our history as their own. Right. They've claimed African characters, African nations, African history as their own.
Yeah. You know, and the key,
yeah,
the key that I saw years ago when I was little, when they said that King Arthur, and they said King Arthur said that he was the king of the land and the king of the people. Europeans hate the land; they hate trees. And when I heard that, I knew. Even when I was young, I knew. I said he must have been black. It took me years to find the evidence, but I knew he had to have been black because see, they don't think about the land and they don't think about their people. They think about the self and how to exploit each other.
Yes, exactly. I'm just going to pop over to the chat. Let's take a little look, shall we, and see if we've got any questions or any points. Rise up, Brother Kwame Aboje. I don't know what I'd do without you in the chat. You've got so many comments. Enough love to you, beloved. He says, yes, Africans migrated to Ireland too. Yes, indeed. We migrated to everywhere in the world, to 4 corners of the world. That's why the original Japanese are black, the original Chinese were black, the original Australians were black, the original people of the world everywhere were black. And here in Europe was no different. We are the descendants of the original Europeans. And he's saying, Ashe, Ashe, Sister Shanice, I'm glad our success have come to pass. Brother Thomas is in the house. Rise up, Brother Thomas. He says, Kwame, I will send you a good book on aliens. You will enjoy. Okay. Thomas is into aliens. Kwame says, phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. Thank you so much. Kemet is an African mystery, and Kemet is our original African land. Oh, yes, indeed. You know, we originate in Africa. Our ethnicity, you know, is African. We are Africans. And as our great singer, Peter Tosh said, for as long as you're a black man, you are an African. Yes. And as I said, you know, the research has shown me that as Africans, we migrated from Africa and we populated the entire globe. So although Africa is our homeland and where we originate from, we have a history and a heritage on many other lands. And we have thousands of years of history on many lands across the world, including Britain, England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. Kwame, Africans only migrated to these places in the world, not only migrated to these places in the world, but built our own societies out of our mamaland. Yes, we did. We brought the knowledge with us. Oh, what's happening? Dr. Clive gone. I've just lost you for a little while, Dr. Clive.
Oh, no,
yes,
I I just turned off my camera. They need to just look at you.
Ah, it's so
That's
funny.
all.
Oh, no, Major. Come on, don't leave me here. Yeah, Africa is our birth, our roots, and our realities, 100%. Gary Ricketts says there was large Black populations during the Elizabeth era, 14th century, and ethnic cleansing started. Absolutely, Brother Gary. Like I said in my book, I didn't even reach that far to this. That's almost like modern times, and I didn't get up to the medieval period. But yes, we have been here throughout, and many of us during the 16th century, 17th century was actually genocided out. And many of us, those that weren't genocided out, when they were doing the ethnic cleansing, we were put on those boats and sent to populate the so-called New World. And where was the New World? America and the Caribbean. That's why, you know, years ago when I did a test for, it wasn't sickle cell, it was so I could give someone bone marrow. I was a bone marrow match with someone in America. And that's usually only possible when you're related. So I've got family members, you know, who we were probably separated from a few hundred years ago, who are in America. Yeah. Americans and Caribbeans, we are related. Yeah. A lot of the Americans landed in America from the Scottish Highlands, from England, and from Ireland, and Wales as well. And our ancestors in America, and certainly in Jamaica, where we're from, they try to remind us that where we were from, because there are names of places that are named after Ireland and Scotland in Jamaica. You know, I do have a list in a presentation that I did somewhere. Yes, Sister Betty, everywhere on earth, we populated the entire globe. Kate Sefer says, thank you for clarifying the Stone Age, Shanice. When I was in college, my dumb-ass Caucasian art teacher tried to convince me that it was a primitive time where the first art began. That's right. You know, their Stone Age was primitive. That's when they were, you know, just coming out of the Caucasus Mountains, you know, during the Stone Age era. So for them, you know, the Stone Age period was a primitive time, you know, but for us, we were at the height of our greatness. Imagine the mathematical, scientific, and engineering skills you would have had to build those colossal structures out of stone. Many of our people can't even do that today. Right, Kwame, rise up. Africans in the UK, such as Harold Moody, Sam Coldridge, Taylor, and Claudia Jones. Yes, and the list goes on. Yes, and of course, I didn't even get to go into the more recent African monarchs like Queen Charlotte. Yes, indeed, Brother Kwame. And Gareth says, greetings, Shanice. I will be coming for your book. Seems you have taken J.A. Rogers to new heights. I am honored. Rise up, rise up. Africans in the UK have now come to the path. We build sites, including Stonehenge. That's right, we did indeed build Stonehenge. And when you look at Stonehenge within the context of our Stone Age era and the stone artwork that we was doing all over the world, you know, Stonehenge is just hardly anything in comparison to what we were doing in other parts of the world. And, you know, we're looking at these stone structures that have survived their destruction, remember? You know, and there's more that's going to come, Dr. Clyde, like you were saying, because, you know, I know you've come across these, like myself, these sunken cities beneath the sea. So those Mediterranean islands, some of them were joined together, but at some point, you know, sunk, or the sea level just rose above the cities. And these divers have dived below, and they've seen monuments like they see in Egypt, pillars like they've got in the temples of Egypt, statues with African features It's, you know, down there in these sunken cities. Do you want to say something, please, to maybe in response to some of the comments in the chat or anything that's come to mind, Dr. Clyde?
All I can say is that it's an exciting time, and you know, according to many of the predictions, pretty soon some of those sites underwater are going to be above ground, and many of us will live to see it, and that's going to be a wonderful time because we're going to already have the evidence, and people can say, "Oh, Sister Shanice told me about that." Well, I learned this a long time ago. But the thing is, this is that I hope you guys will make sure that you spread the word. Let everybody know about Hidden in the Shadows. That every time you talk to someone, mention this book, get them ready for the book, get them to spend some money, so that this should be in every home in Britain, every home of any Black person in Britain or the Caribbean, not just Jamaica either. You know, Trinidad, Tobago, all over the Caribbean. This book should be in everybody's home, you see. It should be a book that their children and themselves can look at and know that, you know, we are, in a sense, more than somebody. We are it. We were the ones that made this world. And without us, there's nothing.
Absolutely. And, you know, as I was saying earlier, what comes with that knowledge, you know, is the light bulb moment, that moment of enlightenment when you realize, you know, just how great you are. And that's so powerful. You know, it will make our children feel so much more confident about themselves. And I agree, you know, every household, African household, was to have that book and have their children read that book as well, or the parents read the book to their children and their children's children. You know, have it there, because you can leave it in your will to someone. It's a book that, you know, will outlive you. It's not like going out for a night out and you spend £25 on a ticket just to go out. Yeah, you've got the memory, but you've got nothing to show for it. Maybe you'll take 1 or 2 photos. But when you've got that book, it could last for hundreds of years. These books that I've been reading as part of my research, some of them are hundreds of years old, 200, 300 years old. Had that person not written that book, I would not have been in a position to have got the knowledge that I got for this book today. So I'm hoping that if enough of our people buy this book, then when they come to try and destroy again the knowledge that we are uncovering today, that 1 or 2 of those books will survive, so that our future don't have to do all the research all over again and come to the knowledge that we're coming to today, because this is a time of enlightenment. Let's see what other comments we've got in here. Come on, family. I didn't post that we went live because I had so many problems at the beginning. I wasn't sure if we'd be able to be here until now. And so I didn't send out all of my usual posts, but hopefully the word will get out there. Oh, I can see Afro-Jamo's in the house. Rise up, Sister Afro-Jamo. Great to have you in the house as well. Rise up, Sheriff S as well. There's an image of a black, and my things can't see, so let's make that a little bit smaller so I can see it. Talking about Nelson's column in Trafalgar Square, and it has a statue of a black person on it as well. Yes, I did come across that in a presentation that was done a little while back. Gary's saying there was a large black population during, yeah, oh, sorry, I read that one, didn't I? Let's quickly go back. If you've got any new messages, post your messages. So Sheriff says, well done, Sister Shanice, a much needed piece of literature. Thank you so much, my sis. Rising up the family in the house. Brother Kwame, you know, your joy to having a chat as well. So many messages from you. Thank you so much. Let's go down to the end. Okay, if you go to the bottom, you can see I've just posted my email address. Hopefully you've got it from the screen. If not, you've got it in there as well. And, you know, I think that, you know, we're probably about that time where we could begin to wrap up. But before we do, Dr. Clyde Winters, you're such an inspiration. I want to thank you so, so much for all the hard work that you have put into our community, for all the research that you have done, that you continue to do, you know, for being the inspiration behind a lot of us British researchers now, the team of British researchers who are out there doing the research, for being our mentor and our inspiration. I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the kind words. But you guys are really doing the work. And that's the most important thing is doing the work, getting it out there. And that's the most important thing is sharing what you know so that it's not hidden. You know, I'm sad to say it's a sister out there, and she's a kind sister. You know, she's a mulatto, but she's trying. She wants to hold it. Don't hold the knowledge. Share it with the people. Let the people know their true history. Let the people know what they can do. Because when you know where you came from, you can only make things even greater. You
That's
know.
right.
So thank you, Shanice, for sharing this knowledge in your book, Hidden in the Shadows. Everybody get a copy of it. I'm going to have mine soon. I would have one now, but it's not. I can't get it yet.
It's not out yet. It's not out yet. But as soon as it comes out, you will do. And I might do a large hard copy as well, because, you know, as I said, it's one of those books I'd love everybody to have on their coffee table, if you have coffee tables these days, or your side table, and it's open and there's lovely color images in there so that even the young ones will be drawn to it. And be attracted to it. And I hope you like that little video bit I did. I want to bring our Queen Scotia to life. I want to bring some of our kings to life. I want to bring some of the characters in that book to life. So watch this space, family. Watch this space.
Sooner or later, we're going to get some cartoonists. They can really put this into our practice, and they can make the visuals that we need, you know, and we're going to have those visuals out eventually. You know, it's somebody out there right now that's getting inspired, and once they can get the money, we're going to see Queen Scotia and other heroes in Black British history.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. That's definitely what we need to see. And our children need to see images of Black princesses and Black queens and Black kings. You know, it would so help with their development as well. So I can't see any new messages. Here's one from Baba Kwame. Our late scholar, Baba Ivan van Sertima and Baba Ranonko Rashidi, we got to thank for teaching us about Africans that migrated to other parts of the world. Absolutely. You know, we stand on the shoulders of many great, great scholars. Yes, indeed. Call their name, because for as long as we call their name, they continue to live. They only die when we forget them. Yes. So I can see this now. Sister Sheriff S, big up to you mentioning the Black boy at Nelson's column in London. George says, Hidden in the Shadows, is that homage to Hidden History by Tariq Nasheed? No, it's not homage, but, you know, I wasn't thinking of that at the time. But hey, you know, it's all good because it's about hidden histories being uncovered and what was hidden now coming to light. But for me, Hidden in the Shadows, it's like in the shadows of the streets of Britain, everywhere, you know, behind an invisible veil is our history. Our former kings and queens and nobles and rulers and the civilizations that existed, they're there in the shadows. And that's where I've got that shadowy image on the front page of my book, because it's about being in the shadows. We're there, but you're going to have to look to find us. Okay, so yeah, look and listen, and you will find our ancestors and hear them talking to you. What does this one say? George says, and I hope the Windrush people get their money, unlike you guys coming over here and talking against our reparations. Who's talking against reparations? But that's another topic for another day. Kwame says, Hotep, Sister Amma. So Sister Amma must be in the house. I can't see her here. But rise up, Sister Amma. To everybody in the house who I haven't mentioned, but you're there, thank you so, so much for joining us today. It's been an absolute privilege being able to share with you, my wonderful, supportive audience, you know, what's coming in my book. And also it's been a pleasure being able to share with Dr. Clyde, who has been waiting in anticipation for this book. When's it coming? When's it coming? Oh, when's it coming? I want to see, I want to know what you're writing about. What you doing? Here it is. All has been revealed. I want to thank you all so, so much. And I really hope that you will support the works, that you will get a copy of it, not only a copy of my book, but a copy of at least a few of Dr. Clyde Winters's books as well, because, you know, he spent a lifetime writing. And the reality is that, you know, many of these great names that we can call of our writers and authors die poor. They die poor because we don't support their works. We don't buy their books. You know, many die poor, and it's so tragic. But you know what? You have to be committed to your community as an African to do something like this for your community, because, you know, our community is always trying to make a little go a long way, and our priorities, you know, isn't really about acquiring knowledge through books. But we've got to change that, family. We've got to change that. So certainly look to you supporting the works. Many of you have supported me in the past, and I thank you, and I look forward to you supporting me in the future as well, and to supporting Dr. Clyde and other authors as well. Any last words from you, Dr. Clyde?
No, all I can say is get the book, get out there, run out there. Right now, go to Amazon and order the book. That's all I can say, because you know, we
they're gonna have
gotta
to wait
get
a
it out
little
there.
while. Yeah, they're gonna have to wait a little while still before they can pre-order it. Yeah, but yeah, keep your eye out. Probably within the next week or so, you might be able to put your order in. So thank you so much. So tomorrow, family, I'm going to be back live, all being well. We've got His Royal Highness King Maponga. He's going to be talking and answering the question, is there a war against the Black woman's womb? Is there a war on against the Black woman's womb? That's what we're going to be discussing tomorrow. So make sure you join us tomorrow, okay? And over in the USA, what time do you come on, Dr. Clyde, on a Thursday? Please tell our audience.
I usually come on at about 3 p.m. 3 p.m. Midwestern time, Central time. I think that's about 6 or 7 your time.
Okay, so check out Dr. Clyde, who will be going live tomorrow, and then straight afterwards, come over to my channel and check me out as well, because wow, what a conversation we're going to be having with His Royal Highness. Family, more love, more strength. Thank you so much for your support, and see you tomorrow. Take care, Dr. Clyde. Enough love.
Take care. One love.
One love. One love, family. One love.